Hello, friends, and welcome to the Clueless Filmmakers Podcast, the show by amateurs for amateurs, spreading the good word of stumbling, mumbling, making mistakes, not knowing what you're doing until you're suddenly doing it right. Hey, thank you so much for joining us for real this time, because we just did like several minutes into the show before I realized they actually hadn't hit record on the audio capture device. So, hey, I'm glad you can actually hear me this time. We're happy to see you. There's a reason why I call this the Clueless Filmmakers Podcast. Very, very good reason why it's called that. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you and we adore you. Thank you for listening on SoundCloud or iTunes or Google Play, or even cooler, thank you for watching on YouTube and watching our other stuff on our Potluck Pictures YouTube channel that we are now on. Hey, I am here today with my super duper awesome friend,
Luis. Hi.
You want to?
Yeah, my full name.
Yeah. Briefly
introduce my name is Luis Fernando Puente, and I am a student at Brigham Young University, media arts major, and I've got, I don't know, it's my fourth year there, so I'm almost done. I've about a year left that I've got to do.
Awesome. And you are already in the thick of filmmaking stuff outside of classes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Luis is the creator behind our episode that we released this last week. When you watch this, it would have been last week, and there will also be a second episode next week of this series that we have that we've shortened the title to Abrazos. Mm-hmm. Said it right?
Yeah.
Yes, I said Abrazos. It right. Abrazos. It's a much longer and complicated title, but we will get into that. Anyway. So yeah, actually, you know what? Let's just jump into that. Luis, you want to tell us the full title and where that comes from?
Yeah, and what it means. Okay,
yes, that too. Yes, very much so.
So, Bastaria con Abrazarte y Conversar is part of a lyric of a song called Sabor a mí, which is the one that that Franco's character is singing at the beginning of the episode of the serenade. And Sabor a mí is a very typical love song. It's it's comparing the kind of yearning that after losing someone or somebody, typically a loved one, there's still like a taste, of somebody like there. It's the kind of more of like a nostalgic kind of feel to it. And this line, Bastaria con abrazarte y conversar. Well, I mean, first a little bit of the history of the song. I didn't write it. It was written a long time ago during the, I think, 50s or 60s by a trio called, oh my gosh. Oh, it's at the tip of my tongue. But it's on the credits there. You should look them up. Los Panchos, there we go. Los Panchos. Ada Gourmet actually sang a version with them, and she was a very famous singer here in the U.S. Anyway, so the lyric "Bastaría con abrazarte y conversar" is really hard to translate word for word in English, because if you were to translate it, it would sound like it would be sufficient enough to hug it out and talk about it. I guess to kind of put the story short of, that's why I didn't translate the name, because it was just so hard. But it's a lyric. It's kind of it's kind of, it's a lyric. It's a word of it. It's a line of compromise. It's like, hey, we disagree on things. There's been a hard past. Let's just hug it out. Let's talk about it. Let's be human about this kind of thing. And that's why I kind of chose this as the main title for the series, because it is dealing with a lot of prejudice and race and just immigration. And it's just a lot of topics that people just don't know about when talking about it, and they don't know about the people on the other side of it, rather than just kind of shouting out things that they hear. It's more of a message of hey, why don't we talk about it? Let's talk about it. Sit down and actually learn from our sides.
Wonderful. And so in brief, how would you describe the series and the story behind it? If you give it a log line or something.
All right now it's very early to have something kind of more cohesive. I mean, right now as it stands, it's present day immigrant Latin Americans face struggles of what it's like to be in a different country that's not their home per se.
Okay. And then in particular, like living in this, post 2016,
Yes,
election,
very much
election world. Yeah, I mean, this is I thought it's neat that everything kind of panned out time wise to bring out the episode and do this podcast and stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because this is the week that this is, it's a year ago this week that Donald Trump was elected president, and that changed a lot of things, created a bunch of controversy, a lot of hate, a lot of strife.
Yeah.
And, not quite everything's different, but most things in American life have been affected by that in some way or another.
Yeah, very true. In fact, around the time that I was finishing up this first episode, all the posts for it, and kind of did it like an original kind of release just by myself before I talk with you guys. It was around the same time that Trump had made the announcement of revoking DACA, and which is a big issue around it. And a lot of the people that I work with, some of them, some of these actors are very, very heavily influenced by that. So I mean, and it took on a little bit of a stronger voice, I think, because rather than just there was an election happened, but now there's something that's actually, there's more things that are going to be more, influential, more effective in people's lives in very hard ways, I think.
So in the two episodes that you have so far, the one that's out now and the one we'll be putting out next week, what are the specific challenges that your characters are enduring?
Yeah.
Both of the broad scope and their own personal.
So in the broad scope, I'd say, both are very much kind of facing the prejudice that within a community, within somewhere that they feel this should be a safe community. For example, in the first, Ivan, the character Ivan, he his girlfriend's family, in a way, he talks about them, and it's not like too apparent in there, but he has his suspicions about that. He has suspicions about why there was that that growing tension in the relationship, why there is kind of that separation, and then obviously very 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 abruptly and very just threatening the presence of this Devon character, with the Trump hat right behind him. And I have more plans for him, for that character to come back and everything. And where it's like, this is kind of somebody that I have affections for, somebody and their family, and it's that place of like, but I can't feel safe around it. It's kind of throwing a very interesting thing. If you don't have this, if you've never faced the question or problems like, is my loved one's family or my friend's family going to accept me or not accept me based on where I come from? And then the other one, it's about facing that kind of prejudice within your religious community. And I'm very excited to see how that one is going to be reacted to. Not a lot of people have seen it, just a very few. Because the first one, I was very interested to see how, some people would react, and there were like very different reactions to it at first. But I'm very, very interested to see how it's going to happen. I mean, it's within an LDS context. So obviously
that's Mormon for what few people are watching that don't know about Mormons and LDS.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I wish like no, and I wish in the episode. I mean, it's like it's hard. I mean, if you don't know much about the missionary, like Mormon culture about it, it'll be a little bit harder. I mean, people can do some research about it, but it's hard to like just slam in so much into it. But I think as far as the Latter-day Saint community, they'll definitely get what's going on and, maybe turn quite a few heads, I hope. Because it is a very personal experience and I think it's one of my most vulnerable things because it's something that happened to me very personally. So, and it's not something that I don't think my parents even know about this. So, I think it'll be interesting to see how people see and even just evaluate themselves on, wait, what things have I said? What things have I done that might have made somebody uncomfortable? Because, just kind of, I don't necessarily think that, this character in the second episode, like his intentions were like malevolent, I don't think they were like, oh, I'm like prejudiced and I'm gonna like, stick this, but it's just, it's a misfire. It's a miss saying, and it's things that people just, should be aware about, like the language that they say. And not just with immigration or race or anything. I think it's just all around everything.
Okay. All right. I'll have to go back and watch this episode now because I have access to it still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's does reach a lot of personal points.
Yeah. Yeah. And essentially each episode that I'm gonna try to get is just different issues. I mean, it doesn't have to be racial issues. That I'm wanting to grab just cultural shocks, cultural differences that might play more comedic than serious, and because there's a wide variety. Coming into a country and then feeling like a change. You do feel a change. I remember I came here as a kid, and the first thing that I noticed was that this everything was just too open and big. I mean, I was used to every house just kind of being very close together and used to like a public transportation system, and I could walk to the grocery store or walk to school, or just things being very, very close. And then I moved into the suburbs of Austin in Pflugerville, Texas, and it's just, I mean, things are just big in Texas anyways, but it's just massive. And it's like, wait, what do you mean we have to like drive a mile to go pick up some milk or eggs? So it's and I guess it would have been 2-something kilometers because I wasn't familiar with the standard system of measurements. Even something like that. It's
yeah. Just I didn't even realize that Mexico used kilometers.
No, yeah,
I did not realize that.
Yeah, the metric system. I mean, just learning the metric system is like the easiest thing in the world because everything's just by tens and everything, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, how many feet are in a yard? 3, and okay, so that means there's 3 yards for something else. Like, nope, it's these weird. I don't know how that came to be, but yeah, it's I still don't know how many feet there are in like a mile, and I'm pretty sure I've like read it many times but it's like such an odd number that it just doesn't stick, I think. So, and at least for now, I'm just gonna be introducing characters. I'm gonna be introducing kind of this world, and as because I've done quite, and I'm still doing homework on this. It's not just my own experiences. I'm trying to get a wide variety of immigrant stories. I came here legally. I'm interviewing people who are here illegally, and it's a very, very different one. Social class as well is a different narrative. I'm very much middle class. There's some lower classes that and they face their own difficult things, and there's even just the aristocracy of Mexico that comes and lives around here.
Really?
Yeah, it's a bizarre. I think down in Texas, it's more. We're more used to seeing, Ferraris and Lamborghinis being driven by Mexicans, but
wow.
Here it's something that a lot of people are like, wow, kind of, yeah.
So the kind of last thing I want to talk about is the music of the show, because it's very distinct. man, honestly, right now I can't remember what music you had in the second episode, but especially the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a big deal because you open up with a more or less a live band kind of going there.
Yeah.
Main character and his buddies, and it sounds awesome, and it really is just very distinct. It's this like huge romantic gesture, but it's also this just awesome song. Anyway, sorry. How about you just talk about like how you brought the music into it? I mean, like who are these guys playing? I know you have a band. I know you record all this music yourself and whatnot. Just tell me about your more technical side and fun side of the music and whatnot.
And the fun side of it, so everything, that first song was just all recorded in my living room. I made out of blankets, like, hey, I need just people to sing in Spanish here. Steven Olson, who is also part of all of this, so he came in and helped. I had just, probably like 5 guys, I can't remember, just 5 guys come in. And what I did is, I just played kind of the rhythm, this rhythm section of the guitars. And I like laid track on like probably, I wanted it to feel full, like big, like what it's like to have like 5-6 guitars going on at the same time. So I recorded 6 different tracks of guitars going on at the same time. And then I brought in my buddy Sam. He plays bass for me in my actual band that I have. And he just played all that requinto, that is what is called that kind of lead in that kind of style of music, the boleros. That's what that is, and I'm a very big fan of that, of like the very just music that comes from Mexico, boleros, corridos, rancheras. They're just fun songs. They're timeless. People they've been around for a long time, and people will like just keep singing and remaking covers of them forever. And yeah, that's and then for the next one, I just changed it up a little bit. It's punk, it's punk music. It's my other kind of genre that I grew up on, and I thought it would be fun to make a sort of kind of like a on-screen band identity for that is gonna play music, that is going to create these songs. So, and that one I did not necessarily in the living room, but just like this little shack that we have here. My friend Garrett, he helped engineer that for us, and it was just again my bass player playing bass and doing some of the vocals on that, and then just drums and then guitar. So I want music to be a big part of it. It's kind of the at least in my life, my grandparents, my grandfather, just a lot of musicians. There's a lot of musicians in Mexico, even if they're not like out there playing on stage. A lot of people sing. A lot of people are singing songs, being affiliated with some sort of musical talent. So I kind of want to expose that. Just be, we're a musical kind of, and it's not going to be like a musical show. It's going to be just a show where people just happen to have music.
But music's always gonna be an integral part of the stories and whatnot, because it's a big part of the culture. All right, cool. All right. Well, to wrap this up, you just want to share some like an awkward story or some kind of painful lesson you learned from the production of these 2 Abrazos episodes?
Yeah, a lot of. The first one I did as a practice, just to practice. I wasn't wanting to go on as I wrote it as a little vignette and such. And so I had, it was just weird because like the first time I ever go, like myself, just go and like ask people with permission to do things. And Fruta Crush was just featured in that first. I'm glad I know the owner. She's my friend, Miriam. And so she's like, oh yeah, come here. And if we were like, but we could only film there during their business hours. And in a time that wasn't supposedly as busy, so that way, we could have a little bit more private. But, for some reason, that one day specifically, it's just like just filled up with people. So it was like, oh no. I mean, so there's a couple of awkward moments of, you know, people looking into the camera really weird, that not our actors, but just you know, trying to figure that out. And it was also like the first time I was using that camera too, the Blackmagic Pocket. So I was trying to figure some things out. So I mean, I'm glad it looks out well. It's just it was just funny. It's just like I hope people in Fruta Crush, because most of the people that go there are, you know, Hispanic Latinos, and, you know, just walk in and see this guy wearing a Trump hat in there, you know, a Make America Great Again hat. Hopefully they saw the camera right in front of him and they got the hint, but I wonder. I think everybody was feeling self-conscious that day about that.
That's funny. Yeah, no, that's true. There's always, I mean, there's plenty of instances of people not noticing cameras and just seeing something out of the ordinary and freaking out, whether it's someone with a prop gun or a guy with a Trump hat.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I would have, if somebody would have come up and talk with like him or something, and I would have been interesting to see what would have happened.
And he would have had it on camera. That would have been
oh my gosh, yeah, that would have been, yeah, for
really
real.
Interesting analysis. All of a sudden, your movie is a documentary.
Yes. Yeah, very true.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Luis. Really excited. I got to go back and watch the second episode. I'm excited to see what we can help you do for future episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so again, everybody, please go and watch Abrazos episode 1, and next week, make sure you watch episode 2. Luis has done some excellent work. We didn't even talk about the cinematography. I mean, like, it's not like complex, but for some reason, like, it's beautiful. It's beautifully shot. It's simple, but it looks awesome. There's so many things. The reason to watch it. Anyway, go watch it. Haha. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We love you dearly. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to say something, comment below, or you can hit Potluck Pictures up on Twitter using the not the hashtag. Goodness. Our Twitter thing is at potluck_pics. So, you know, you can talk to us there and things. Hey, anyway, thank you again, and have a fantastic day.